A millenary legacy. The Olympic Games in perspective. The Olympic Games. A name that resonates through the centuries, evoking images of athletic glory, competitive spirit, and global unity. From the ancient times to the present day, the Games have been a beacon of hope and a celebration of human potential. Its history spans millennia, from the dusty arenas of ancient Olympia to the modern stadiums that illuminate our days. The ancient Greeks held the first recorded Olympic Games in 776 BC, and these early competitions were deeply intertwined with their culture and religion, honoring the god Zeus. Much more than just a sporting event, the Olympic Games represent a lasting legacy of humanity, a testament to our constant search for physical and intellectual excellence, and a powerful reminder of the unifying power of sport. The torch relay, a tradition that began in the modern era, symbolizes the connection between the ancient and contemporary games, carrying the flame of peace and unity across continents. From its humble beginnings in ancient Greece, the Olympic Games have evolved into a global phenomenon, capturing the attention of millions of people around the world. The revival of the Games in 1896 by Pierre de Coubertin marked the beginning of the modern Olympic era, bringing together athletes from diverse nations to compete on a global stage. Throughout its history, the Games have witnessed moments of triumph and tragedy, extraordinary records and acts of courage, fierce rivalries and unforgettable gestures of friendship. The 1936 Berlin Games, for instance, saw Jesse Owens shatter racial barriers with his remarkable performance, while the 1972 Munich Games were marred by the tragic terrorist attack. Every 4 years, athletes from all corners of the planet come together to compete in a spirit of sportsmanship, pushing the limits of human endurance and challenging the limits of the possible. The marathon, a race that traces its origins to ancient Greece, remains one of the most iconic events, symbolizing the ultimate test of stamina and perseverance. The Olympic Games are a stage where legends are written, where heroes are born, and where the universal values of respect, friendship, and excellence are celebrated. From Nadia Comaneci's perfect 10 in gymnastics to Usain Bolt's lightning-fast sprints, the Games have given us countless moments of awe and inspiration. Through the centuries, the Olympic Games have endured as a symbol of hope and unity, transcending cultural, political, and geographical barriers. The 5 interlocking rings, representing the union of the 5 inhabited continents, serve as a powerful emblem of this global unity. In a world often divided by conflicts and differences, the Games remind us of our common heritage as human beings and inspire us to strive for a more peaceful and harmonious future. The Olympic truce, an ancient tradition revived in modern times, calls for a cessation of hostilities during the Games, emphasizing the potential of sport to foster peace and understanding among nations. The sacred origin Olympia, birthplace of the Games. Our journey through the history of the Olympic Games takes us to ancient Greece, to a place called Olympia in the Peloponnese. This region, rich in history and mythology, was the perfect setting for the birth of an event that would transcend time and culture. Here, in a sacred valley dedicated to Zeus, the king of the gods, the Olympic Games were born almost 3,000 years ago. The valley, surrounded by lush greenery and majestic mountains, provided a serene and inspiring backdrop for the athletes and spectators alike. The exact date of the first Games is lost in the mists of time, but tradition places them in the year 776 BC. This date marks the beginning of a legacy that would continue to evolve and grow, influencing countless generations. These first Games were a much more modest affair than the global spectacle we know today. There were no grand stadiums or elaborate ceremonies, just a simple gathering of athletes and spectators who shared a common passion for competition and excellence. Only free men from the Greek city-states participated, and the only competition was a foot race of approximately 192 meters known as the Stadion. This race, though short in distance, was a true test of speed and endurance, and winning it was a matter of great pride. Despite their simplicity, the Olympic Games at Olympia had a deep religious and cultural significance for the ancient Greeks. The Games were not just about physical prowess, they were a celebration of the human spirit and its connection to the divine. They were held in honor of Zeus, and it was believed that the athletes competed under the gaze of the gods. This belief added a layer of reverence and solemnity to the event, making each competition a sacred act. An Olympic victory was considered the highest honor an athlete could achieve, a sign of divine favor and a glory for his hometown. Victorious athletes were celebrated as heroes, their names and achievements immortalized in poems and statues. The Olympic Games became a central event in the life of the Greek city-states. They were a time when political rivalries were set aside and the focus was on unity and shared cultural heritage. During the Games period, a sacred truce was declared, known as Ekocheria, which ended all hostilities between the participating cities. This truce allowed for safe passage and ensured that the spirit of the Games was preserved. This spirit of peace and unity allowed athletes, artists, poets, and spectators to travel safely to Olympia to participate in this Pan-Hellenic festival. The Games were more than just a series of athletic contests. They were a grand celebration of Greek culture, art, and philosophy, bringing together people from all walks of life in a shared experience of joy and reverence. Athletic glory, competitions and champions in ancient Greece. Over time, the Olympic Games at Olympia evolved, expanding their sports program and attracting competitors from increasingly distant regions of the Greek world. To the original stadium race were added other athletic events such as chariot races, wrestling, boxing, pankration, a brutal combination of boxing and wrestling, pentathlon, which included discus throw, long jump race, javelin throw and wrestling, and horse races. The athletes who participated in the Olympic Games were warriors, farmers, shepherds, fishermen, artisans, poets, and musicians. They came from all walks of life, and their participation in the Games gave them the opportunity to achieve glory and fame, regardless of their origin or status. Olympic champions were welcomed as heroes in their hometowns. They were given honors, statues were erected in their honor, and their names were inscribed in the annals of history. Some of these ancient champions became legends, their athletic feats passed down from generation to generation through songs, poems, and stories. One of the most famous Olympic champions was Milo of Croton, a legendary wrestler who won 6 consecutive Olympic crowns in the 6th century BC. Another was Leonidas of Rhodes, a runner who won 3 different races, the Stadion, the Diaulos, and the Hoplite race in 4 consecutive Olympic Games, a record that stood for centuries. Beyond sport, the cultural impact of the ancient games. The ancient Olympic Games were more than just a series of athletic contests. They were a cornerstone of Greek culture and society, reflecting the values and ideals of the time. The Olympic Games in ancient Greece were not just a sporting event. They were an integral celebration of culture, art, and the human spirit. These games were held every 4 years in Olympia, a sanctuary site for the Greek gods, particularly Zeus. During the Olympic festival, Olympia became a hive of activity, attracting thousands of people from all over the Greek world. This influx of visitors turned the site into a bustling hub of commerce, social interaction, and cultural exchange. In addition to athletic competitions, the Olympic Games were an occasion to showcase the best of Greek art, music, and literature. Artists and musicians would gather to present their works, creating a vibrant cultural atmosphere that celebrated human creativity and expression. Poets like Pindar composed odes in honor of the Olympic champions. Sculptors like Myron and Phidias created masterpieces inspired by the beauty and grace of the human body. And philosophers like Socrates and Plato debated ideas about ethics, politics, and the meaning of life. These intellectual and artistic contributions were as significant as the athletic achievements themselves. The Olympic Games also played an important role in promoting Pan-Hellenic unity. Despite the frequent conflicts between city-states, the Games provided a rare opportunity for Greeks to come together in a spirit of peace and mutual respect. The sacred truce that accompanied the Games allowed Greeks from different city-states, often at war with each other, to come together in an atmosphere of peace and harmony. This truce, known as the Ekocheria, ensured safe passage for athletes and spectators traveling to and from Olympia. This shared experience helped strengthen the cultural and linguistic ties that united the Greeks, creating a sense of common identity that transcended political divisions. The Games fostered a sense of belonging and unity among the Greek people, reinforcing their shared heritage and values. The cultural impact of the Olympic Games in ancient Greece was profound and lasting. The ideals of physical excellence, fair competition, and sportsmanship that the Games embodied influenced Greek art, literature, philosophy, and education for centuries. The ideals of physical excellence, fair competition, and sportsmanship that the Games embodied influenced Greek art, literature, philosophy, and education for centuries. These values were instilled in the youth through education and training, ensuring that the legacy of the Games endured through generations. In fact, the legacy of the ancient Olympic Games can be felt to this day, inspiring artists, athletes, and thinkers around the world. The modern Olympic Games, revived in 1896, continue to uphold the principles of excellence, friendship, and respect that were first celebrated in ancient Olympia. The enduring influence of these ancient traditions is a testament to the timeless power of sport and culture to unite humanity.